The energy in Atlanta had shifted the moment the court doors opened. This wasn't reality TV anymore. This wasn't just cameras catching another fight, another storyline for the producers to stretch. This was real life, and the stakes were higher than anyone could have imagined. Scrappy walked into that courtroom not as a rapper, not as a cast member, but as a man who had almost lost his life in a fight that spiraled out of control. His face carried the same pain the hospital lights had reflected weeks ago, but this time his eyes were sharper, colder, and steady on the man who had dragged him into the storm. Kirk Frost sat at the defense table with his lawyer, dressed in a dark suit, but no amount of polish could hide the weight of what was about to happen. The whispers started even before the judge arrived. Fans, bloggers, gossip reporters, even a handful of producers from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta filled the benches. Everyone wanted to witness what they were calling the reunion that went too far. Phones buzzed with live updates. Social media hashtags trended in real time. Shark Scrappy Justice, Shark Kirk FINED, LHHATL Chaos. And right in the center of the storm, Rasheeda sat stiff, her hand gripping her purse so tightly that her knuckles turned white. She had stood by Kirk through cheating scandals, side babies, and endless betrayals. But this was different. This wasn't VH1. This was the state of Georgia versus Kirk Frost, and the whole world was watching. When the judge finally entered, the silence was deafening. Even the reporters stopped typing. The gavel hit the desk once, and every soul in the room straightened. The case had dragged on for weeks. Testimonies, video evidence, medical reports from Scrappy's hospitalization. But now came the verdict, the part that would either end in a slap on the wrist or a punishment that would echo through Atlanta for years. The judge's voice was calm, but each word landed heavy. After reviewing the evidence, the testimonies, and the disturbing pattern of behavior displayed, this court finds Mr. Kirk Frost responsible for aggravated assault resulting in serious bodily harm. The gasp that followed was collective, but the real shock came next. In addition to the sentence of 12 months in county jail, this court orders restitution to the victim in the amount of $25 million. The number hit like a grenade. $25 million? Not $25,000. Not $200,000. A figure so massive, so career-ending, that even the court reporters paused before typing it, double-checking they had heard correctly. Scrappy closed his eyes for a moment, his chest rising as if the weight of years had just been lifted off him. This wasn't about money. It wasn't about a check. It was about justice finally being spelled out loud. The man who thought he was untouchable, the man who had laughed his way through reunion fights and shrugged off cheating scandals, was finally paying in the only language the world couldn't ignore: money and time. Kirk shifted in his seat, his composure cracking for the first time. His lawyer whispered frantically in his ear, but it was no use. The cameras caught his lips forming silent curses, his jaw tightening until his face flushed red. He wasn't used to losing. He wasn't used to being the one dragged instead of doing the dragging. But today, no amount of bravado could save him. The gavel had spoken. Rasheeda broke. Tears streamed down her face before she could stop them. For years, she had played the role of the loyal wife, the strong partner who held her family together through humiliation after humiliation. But this? $25 million and a jail sentence? This was a nightmare even she couldn't PR her way out of. She stood up, shaking her head, whispering, "We don't have that. We don't even have that kind of money," her voice trembling as cameras zoomed in. Producers caught every second. Fans online clipped it within minutes, turning her heartbreak into viral sound bites. Tasha K sat in the back row, arms crossed, smirking like the chaos had been written in her script. She had been teasing for weeks that she had more receipts, that there were calls, footage, even emails that could bury Kirk deeper. Now, with the verdict announced, her smirk grew wider. She leaned over to another blogger and whispered, "And that's just the beginning. Wait until camera 3 drops." The words were low, but not low enough to escape the microphones planted for the media. Within minutes, Twitter and Instagram exploded with the phrase, "Camera 3." The judge didn't even flinch at the commotion. He laid down the terms coldly. Kirk would begin his sentence immediately. The fine would be pursued through asset seizures if not paid. The courtroom guard stepped forward. Kirk's face twisted in rage as he realized what was happening. This wasn't just a sentence on paper. This was real time. Real cuffs, real jail. His arrogance melted into panic as the bailiffs pulled him to his feet. He tried to turn to Rasheeda, but she couldn't even meet his eyes. She covered her face with her hands, sobbing uncontrollably as the man she defended for decades was led away in shackles. Scrappy didn't gloat. He didn't shout. He didn't even look satisfied. His expression was calm, almost too calm, the kind that comes from surviving too much pain to ever celebrate it. When reporters swarmed him outside the courthouse, microphones shoved in his face, he said the words that would headline every article. Money don't erase what happened. Jail don't erase the scars. But for once, he's paying for his actions. Those words, simple but sharp, became the rallying cry for fans across the globe. Hashtags exploded again. Pay for your actions, your Scrappy wins, Kirk jailed. Outside the courthouse, the cast began to unravel. Yandy Smith-Harris tried to hold her pride, but even she admitted to cameras, this ain't TV anymore. This is real. This is people's lives being ripped apart. Mendices Harris stood by her side, shaking his head, muttering that he knew the day would come when Kirk's arrogance caught up to him. Young Jock, ever the comic relief, tried to crack a joke to lighten the mood, but even he looked uneasy. 25 million? Man, even Monopoly don't got that much. The line spread online, but this time fans didn't laugh. The reality was too raw. For Rasheeda, the walk to her car was the longest of her life. Paparazzi swarmed, shouting questions. Are you staying with him? Do you even have the money? Did you know about the plan? Her silence spoke louder than words. She covered her face, trembling, as bodyguards ushered her past the crowd. Her brand, her businesses, her music, all suddenly overshadowed by the image of her husband in handcuffs. Tasha K, however, thrived in the chaos. She posted within minutes, her headline screaming, "Tasha K told you so. Kirk Frost hit with $25 fine and camera 3 is coming." Fans flocked to her platform, speculating wildly about what else she might expose. For once, she wasn't just stirring mess. She was the one holding the match to the gasoline. That night, Atlanta was buzzing like never before. Gossip shows replayed the footage, news anchors debated whether the fine was excessive or deserved, and fans dissected every expression, every tear, every word spoken in that courtroom. For Scrappy, the chapter felt like vindication. For Kirk, it was humiliation. For Rasheeda, it was devastation. And for Tasha K, it was just the beginning of another storm. But the real cliffhanger came when a leaked clip circulated online, a shaky video of a jail intake room. Kirk being fingerprinted, muttering under his breath, "This ain't over. I'll burn everything down before I let them bury me." The video was grainy, but the words were clear. And once again, Atlanta held its breath, knowing this war wasn't finished. The sun hadn't even fully risen the next morning before Atlanta was drowning in headlines. Every blog, every gossip site, every entertainment page carried the same image: Kirk Frost in cuffs, Rasheeda crying, Scrappy walking out of the courthouse calm and collected. It wasn't just reality TV anymore. It had become the city's biggest scandal, and the shockwaves were spreading fast. At Scrappy's home, the phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Family, friends, producers, even old collaborators were calling, all with the same mix of questions. Did that really happen? Did Kirk really get 25 million? Is he really going to jail? Scrappy sat in his living room, staring at the television as his own face played across every channel. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't celebrating. He whispered to himself almost like a confession, "I ain't never wanted it to go this far." But deep down, he knew the moment Kirk crossed the line that night. This ending had always been waiting. Meanwhile, Rasheeda was spiraling. Cameras caught her arriving back home late at night, her eyes swollen from hours of crying. The silence inside her house was heavy, broken only by the buzz of her phone lighting up with thousands of messages. Some fans offered sympathy, others mocked her loyalty. 25 million in jail? Girl, how much more are you willing to lose for him? She sat at the kitchen counter, staring at bills and paperwork, realizing the court's words weren't just for TV. The fine was real. The seizures would be real. Cars, properties, businesses, everything was on the line. For the first time, Rasheeda said the words on camera no one expected. "I don't even know if I can survive this marriage anymore." The clip went viral within hours. Yandy Smith-Harris met with Mendices in their own home, the two of them sitting side by side, watching the reruns of the verdict like it was a reality show they were forced to star in. Mendices shook his head, muttering, "I told you. Pride always come back to bite you." Yandy sighed, her pride still intact but her voice softer. This ain't just pride. This is empire-shattering. Rasheeda's whole brand is tied to him. If he crumbles, she crumbles. They both knew the truth. Alliances in Atlanta were about to shift. With Kirk locked up and Rasheeda on shaky ground, the Frosts no longer carried the power they once did. In another corner of the city, young Jock was doing what he always did, stirring the pot without meaning to. He went live on Instagram, joking with followers, replaying the moment Kirk's face twisted when the fine was announced. Man looked like somebody told him Love and Hip Hop wasn't paying no more checks, Jock laughed. But even in his jokes, there was unease. Fans flooded his comments. You messy for this? Don't play with Scrappy. Wait till Rasheeda sees this live. Jock waved it off. But deep down, he knew he was adding gasoline to a fire that was still burning hot, but no one was adding fuel like Tasha K. The night after the verdict, she uploaded a video titled, Kirk Frost Jailed, but wait until you hear what else he hid. In the video, she leaned forward, dramatic as ever, sipping her wine before dropping another bomb. That courtroom y'all saw? That was just Act 1. Because what I have right here, she waved a flash drive at the camera, is going to blow this entire case open. Camera 3 ain't no myth. And when I drop this, you'll understand why Kirk Frost should have been put away years ago. The internet lost its mind. Fans dissected every frame of her video, every word, every smirk. What was on camera 3? Another angle of the fight? More proof of a setup? Evidence of deals between Kirk and producers? Nobody knew, but everybody wanted answers. By morning, camera 3 was trending #1 on Twitter, overshadowing even the news of the $25 million fine. Inside his cell, Kirk Frost was raging. Jail wasn't what he expected. No cameras, no producers to control the edits, no Rasheeda smoothing things over. Just cold walls and the reality of his own decisions. He told anyone who would listen that the system was against him, that Scrappy had turned the world on him, that Tasha K had poisoned his image. But at night, when the lights went out, his bravado cracked. He muttered to himself, 25 million. I'll never bounce back from this. Back on the outside, Scrappy was trying to navigate his new role. To fans, he was the man who stood up, the man who finally got justice. But in private, he was restless. He sat with his daughter, trying to explain in simple words why the world was buzzing with his name. Daddy just had to make sure people stop hurting him. The innocence in her eyes made his own victory feel bittersweet. The producers of Love and Hip Hop smelled opportunity. Cameras followed everyone, Rasheeda crying in her boutique, Yandy whispering about shifting alliances, Jock clowning online, Scrappy staring into space like he had aged 10 years overnight. They knew this wasn't just a storyline. This was gold. A court case, a fine, a jail sentence, a blogger stirring chaos. It was bigger than anything they could have scripted. But as part 2 of this saga unfolded, the fractures in the group grew deeper. Rasheeda, once the queen of composure, now lashed out at anyone who questioned her. She shouted at Scrappy during a cast dinner, "Do you have any idea what you've done to me? To my kids, my family's name?" Scrappy stayed calm, but his words cut sharp. "What your husband did almost killed me. If protecting myself ruins your brand, maybe you was protecting the wrong man all along." The table went silent. The cameras capturing every tear, every glare, every sip of wine. Mendices tried to mediate, but his words only made things worse. "Both sides lost," he said softly. Scrappy lost his peace, Rasheeda lost her foundation. Nobody wins. But Yandy wasn't having it. Scrappy stood up for himself. That's a win. Kirk being held accountable? That's a win. Her voice cracked with emotion, showing that even she knew how fragile the balance was. Tasha K, meanwhile, doubled down. Days later, she posted another teaser clip, audio of Kirk's voice on the phone, talking to someone fans believed was a producer. "Make sure the cameras catch Scrappy Wilden. We need him to look crazy." The leak was short, grainy, and unverified, but it was enough to reignite outrage. Fans flooded Rasheeda's socials with fire emojis and demands for answers. The Frost brand, once a symbol of resilience, was crumbling in real time. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, Tasha K ended her video with one chilling line. "Y'all think this was bad? Camera 3 got faces in it y'all never expected. This ain't just Kirk's downfall. It's about to take down the whole empire." The cell door slammed behind Kirk Frost with a finality he couldn't ignore. No more flashy cars, no more studio sessions, no more reunion tapings where he could twist the narrative. Just a hard bed, a steel toilet, and the echo of his own thoughts. For the first time in years, Kirk wasn't the man calling the shots. He was just another inmate with a number. The arrogance that carried him through every scandal melted into bitterness. He paced the floor at night, muttering about Scrappy, about Tasha K, about how the world had turned on him. But underneath the rage was a fear he couldn't shake. $25 million wasn't just a fine. It was the end of everything he built. On the outside, Rasheeda was drowning. Her boutiques, her music, her brand deals, all under siege. Creditors called day and night. Fans flooded her comment sections, some with sympathy, others with scorn. At a taping for the show, she finally broke down, cameras catching her sobbing in the dressing room. I defended him through everything. Through Jasmine, through the cheating, through the lies. And now he left me with this? How do I even stand in front of people after this? The clip leaked before the episode aired, going viral as fans debated whether she was a victim of loyalty or complicit in his downfall. Scrappy, meanwhile, tried to live quietly. But peace was hard to find when the world called you the man who took down Kirk Frost. Everywhere he went, people clapped him on the back, congratulated him, told him he was a hero. But at night, lying in his bed, he stared at the ceiling, replaying the fight, the hospital lights, the courtroom gavel. Justice had come, but it hadn't erased the trauma. In one confessional, he admitted what fans had suspected. I ain't celebrate. How can you celebrate when you still got scars? I didn't want him in jail. I just wanted him to stop. The cast dynamic shifted like fault lines breaking. Yandy Smith-Harris stood by Scrappy, praising his courage, but even she knew the group was fragile. Mendeecees Harris warned her quietly. When one empire falls, the other empires get nervous. People go and protect their secrets harder now. He wasn't wrong. The Frost downfall had made everyone paranoid. Who would be next? Young-Jock leaned into the chaos, his live streams growing more reckless. He joked about visiting Kirk in jail, about sending him Monopoly money for the fine, but fans dragged him for being insensitive. Even Jock, the eternal clown, couldn't escape the weight of what had happened. And then there was Tasha K. For weeks, she had been teasing Camera 3, holding the world hostage with promises of a revelation bigger than the $25 million fine. When she finally went live, tens of thousands tuned in instantly. She sat back in her chair, smirking, the infamous flash drive in her hand. Y'all thought it was just about the fight. But Camera 3 shows y'all the truth, the video played. It wasn't just another angle of the fight. It was footage from behind the scenes, Kirk meeting with producers, planning how to provoke Scrappy, talking about how to stage moments for maximum drama. But it didn't stop there. The audio captured names no one expected. Other cast members, crew, even whispers about network executives. Make sure it looks messy. Make sure Scrappy looks unstable. We need numbers. The revelation sent shockwaves through the fandom. This wasn't just Kirk's arrogance. It was an entire machine exposed. Within hours, our Camera 3 trended worldwide. Fans demanded accountability, not just from Kirk, but from everyone tied to the leaks. Rasheeda, humiliated and betrayed once again, went live through tears. I didn't know about this. I swear I didn't know. But the damage was done. Her silence all these years made her look complicit, and fans weren't ready to forgive. Scrappy, when asked about the footage, just shook his head. I told y'all I ain't want to be nobody's storyline no more. And now the whole world see I wasn't crazy. They tried to play me. They tried to break me. But God don't let lies stand forever. His words, calm but heavy, resonated across social media. Fans clipped it, shared it, turned it into a trending sound on TikTok. Inside jail, Kirk saw the leak too. A guard slid the newspaper under his door, and there it was in bold. Camera 3 exposes Kirk Frost's secret deals. He threw the paper against the wall, screaming, "That ain't the full story! They setting me up." But his screams echoed into silence. No cameras, no edits. Just him and the reality of being exposed. For Rasheeda, the breakdown became transformation. Days after the leak, she quietly took off her wedding ring on camera. She didn't announce it, didn't make a scene. She just placed it on the counter during a confessional and said, "I can't carry this no more." The clip spread faster than wildfire, fans dubbing it, "The Day Rasheeda Let Go." The city buzzed with reactions. Some cheered for Scrappy's vindication. Some pitied Rasheeda. Some debated whether Tasha K had gone too far. But no one could deny it. This was the most explosive chapter Atlanta had ever seen. A hospital fight had turned into a courtroom saga, a $25 million fine, a jail sentence, a broken marriage, and a blogger with a flash drive that shifted the power of an entire franchise. And yet, as the episode closed, Tasha K dropped one last line, her eyes glinting at the camera. If y'all think camera 3 was bad, wait until you see what's on camera 4. The screen cut to black, the cliffhanger heavy, the war far from over, the war far from over.